Hey Darius, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We're going to go through and talk a little bit about your motion and mechanics and sort of break it down frame by frame and get you to a point where you're maximizing everything and using your legs and sort of getting you to a point where you kind of get your timing down a little bit more. Everything, it's just kind of, everything's just off a little bit. And so if we can kind of make a few adjustments here and there, sort of rethink sort of how we're using our lower half, what everything's doing, it's going to come a lot easier for you. You being a big kid, you're going to have a lot of advantage over the other guys. But we just need to try to get it timed right and get it rolling a little bit sooner. So we'll go through and talk a little bit about that. So basically what we need to look at first is your setup. Are you setting up right? Is everything initially off the bat? So what we look at first is balance and posture. So is your head going to stay back over this back leg? So you can see how sort of initially you sort of lean back a little bit. All right, so it's good to stay over your back foot. All right, it looks like you're pretty good right here. So try to stick this spot. We don't want to move backwards. If you're thinking about sprinters, sprinters don't rock back before they sprint out. They're already loaded up back, ready to go forward for that initial step. So you just kind of lean back a little bit. But through that motion, you're staying over that back leg, which is good. All right, a lot of times you'll see kids kind of leak forward, start to lean forward. So this is a really solid spot right here. All right, your hips are nice and closed. All right, your eyes are on target. All right, everything's on line. Now this is sort of where you sort of lose your timing for everything. All right, so at this point, what we want to try to see is our hips start to go forward, our ball to break out of our glove, to our hands to break. Then this heel and this leg just kind of drops down and just kind of stays behind your hips as you drive forward. So as we tick forward here, you can see how your hands sort of stay together a little bit too late. All right, so your hands are breaking right as this leg is almost, completely down to the ground. All right, so what that's going to do is that's going to cause your arm to sort of lag. It's going to cause you to sort of have to rush through your lower half. And so as we'll kind of tick forward here, you can see how you just don't get the extension of that lower half, and that arm sort of has to kind of come up, play catch up, and then it just sort of sits up here. All right, you can see it just kind of sits up there, and then you throw, all right, and this one, it's almost, you kind of aren't controlled out over your front foot, and so that's just sort of that sort of a little initial break right there. Just kind of is late. Everything kind of has to play catch up. You rush through everything else, and so just work on right here. Ball comes out on that glove. All right, hips go forward, and that's going to help you out a little bit. So once we kind of are ticking through here, all right, and you can see how this knee and this leg kind of swings open right here. It kind of goes forward and gets out in front of your hips. All right, so at this point right here, we'd still want to see that glove, or not that glove, that foot and that knee still closed off, if that kind of makes sense. So there's your knee, right here. It still hasn't popped out yet. So you kind of swing that knee open, kind of like a door, whereas we want to try to drive our hip closed as far down the mound as we can. All right, so, at this point right here, maybe now your foot's just sort of coming out right there, your leg's there, but you still haven't come out early yet. All right, you can see this foot's kind of facing off towards the first base dugout, and kind of everything just sort of swings open, so that lower half's early. All right, so at your foot strike, which is right here, your front foot first hits the ground, all right, you can see how your knee is out over your ankle. Your backside really doesn't look too bad. You're nice and closed. This part doesn't look too bad. You're just not getting as far down the mound as you can. All right, so then as you come through your motion, you can see how this knee gets out over your front foot. All right, and so what we want to try to get to is we want to try to get to the spot where, right at your foot strike, all right, you might get a little bit extra there, but it's not too much. But what you're going to see is you want to try to get that front foot farther out, so that knee's behind your heel now. All right, so now you're right at this position. All right, so then through that release, as you start to come forward, at this point here, now your knee would probably be right out over your front foot right here. All right, your back leg is still sort of on the ground, but now you're not going to you throw it, then you kind of jump forward a little bit. So now you're going to be able to kind of control yourself a little bit more to get everything rolling. All right, so now with that, and then the next thing too is the key on is that upper body, is we're opening up this front shoulder early. And so what that sort of keyed off of is this glove. And so we want to try to get that glove out over that front foot the whole time. You can see as you rotate, that glove tucks in, and now we can't even see it through your release point. All right, so at your release point, which is right here, ideally we'd like to see your head, out over this front foot a little bit, right there. All right, your glove's going to probably be, we'll redraw that. Your head will be here, your glove will be out here. All right, you're creating a straight, almost triangle over that back leg. All right, your back foot's still on the ground. It's not bent right here. And so you're just using more of that lower half, using those legs. It's more controlled. It's just utilizing everything. It's more efficient. And just sort of going from there. As you get older and get a little bit stronger, when you're releasing this sort of far from your head here, that's going to start putting some strain on your arm and your elbow. And so you just got to try to get to that point where at this point here, we're still straight, our head and our chest is out over that front foot, and we're finishing, and we should be able to sort of stick this landing here. So we should be able to get to that point where once we follow through, we're not falling through out over this place out here. We're still sort of sticking out over that back leg, or over that front leg in place a little bit. So, again, your initial start is pretty good. You got a good sort of base at your foot strike through your backside. Now it's just a matter of sort of, reach out a little bit farther with your legs, staying closed longer with your hips, and getting that front glove out over that front foot and keeping it out there through that release point, releasing with both feet on the ground, driving all the way through that back leg, getting that head and chest out over that front foot, and you're going to be going a lot easier. And it's something that is going to take hard work. It's going to take a lot of drive reps. Get a towel, just go through it, slow it down, especially start, do some drills where, you're out over at this point here at your foot strike, and just kind of working on throwing from here. So just get to that point where you're already up here with everything, and then just work on getting that leg out farther. Just start from that position and just try to throw from there, and just use that back leg and just sort of go from there. But anyways, man, hopefully you have a great summer this year. Have a great season. Thanks for making it out to camp, and hopefully we'll see you again with ABC.